Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going through the differences between the Godox AD100 Pro and the Godox V1. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this. Hit that notification bell to be updated of any new content we release. Leave a like on the video if it's helped you. Feel free to leave down in the comments section below your thoughts or if you have any questions about the Godox V1 versus the AD100 Pro. Follow us on social media at Hypop and visit our website, hypop.com.au. Let's get into it. So why are we comparing the Godox AD100 Pro versus the Godox V1? Firstly, they're the two flashes that are most similar in output. So the Godox V1 is rated at 76 watt seconds with the Godox AD100 Pro, it's 100 watt seconds. So you can see there's only about 24 watt seconds difference there. Compared to the Godox AD200 Pro, that's a full 100 watts stronger than the 100 Pro. Secondly, the Godox AD100 Pro has the same style battery as the Godox V1, so that means they're interchangeable and you can swap those batteries out and use them. So if you have both flashes, that means you have some spare batteries at hand. So these two are the best direct comparison. The AD200 Pro and all the other flashes above that, including the 300 and the 400, they're all part of the same series. However, the person or the customer that's looking at the Godox AD100 Pro is most likely coming from a Speedlight type of light to begin with, rather than already having some of the stronger flashes from Godox and then stepping down to the AD100 Pro. So this is the main reason why we're comparing these two. Now looking at the features, firstly you have the Godox V1. That's obviously a Speedlight, it has a hot shoe. There's the many different options available with the brand models. So Godox have V1s for Canon, Nikon, Sony, Pentax and Olympus. And you also have the triggers that are compatible too. So if you want to shoot that off camera, you've got the X1, the X2 and the X Pro with all the relevant brands related to those triggers. Now, the main reason why we're looking at these two is because a lot of people that already have a Speedlight, so it may not be the V1, but it may be some of the smaller flashes from Godox, including the TT350, the V860, etc. You may be sort of deciding if you want to go for that portable type of flash. You're shooting off camera mostly, so that's why you're looking at the Godox AD100 Pro or perhaps all of the Witstro range. Godox AD100 Pro is obviously super portable. It has so many features, including the compatibility with the AKR1, that's the same as the Godox V1. And you're also able to mount this onto a Godox S-type bracket, or the S2 bracket to be precise. So that means you can mount it with softboxes, etc. So these are the two equal comparisons. Firstly, let's take a closer look at the similarities and the differences. They both have high-speed sync compatibility up to 1/8000th of a second. They both are compatible with TTL. They both have round head flashes and they are both compatible with the AKR1. They both have 2600 milliamp batteries, and those batteries are pretty much the same model and they're interchangeable. Both of them are compatible with the Godox X system triggers, so that means you can shoot these off camera. Now the major differences are obviously the design and the shape of these two flashes. The V1's a Speedlight, so it means it has a hot shoe and it can be camera mounted to a hot shoe, whereas the Godox AD100 Pro is more of a monoblock strobe type flash. They also have differences in output. So the AD100 Pro is obviously a little bit stronger at 100 watt seconds, with the Godox V1 being 76 watt seconds. The recycle time of both of the flashes are rated at 1.5 seconds at full output. However, in real world tests, we're finding that the Godox AD100 Pro doesn't really have too many issues with a slow recycle time and is more closer to that 1.5 seconds. Whereas the Godox V1 does misfire sometimes, and it could be due to the issue that they've been having with the overheat protection. So you need to be mindful of that also, especially if shooting in events or if you just need some rapid fire type style photography. Let's take a closer look at some of these examples. Firstly is the Godox V1. In this first example, we have it positioned on a light stand, shooting off camera and pointing upwards towards the ceiling. So that means it's bouncing off the ceiling. You can see the colors are a lot more vibrant. The light's a lot more even. It almost looks like that there's some sort of sunroof or sunlight coming through, despite it being in an indoor environment. Now the second example here, we have it mounted on a camera directly, pointing at the subject, so it's more of a direct flash type situation. Here is more of a stylistic choice if you like this type of look with your photography. So it's more of a really harsh, high-key type of photography with the flash directly onto your subject. It looks great, especially for these types of portraits. If it's more of like a street style or you're after a more natural type of look, then you'd probably go for that sort of soft look versus this more high-key look. So in this next example, we have the flashes mounted on a light stand using the Godox S2 bracket and also using the Godox parabolic umbrella softbox. Here we're using a standard lighting modifier, so something that you'd be using in your day-to-day use. It's a small, compact parabolic umbrella. It's perfect for run and gun setups, so regardless if you're shooting indoors or outdoors, it's a suitable modifier. You'll notice that in both examples, you can't really distinguish the ones that are shot with the Godox V1 and the Godox AD100 Pro because essentially they're producing the same results. You only lose a little bit of power with the Godox V1, but in most cases, it's not that noticeable. What we did find though is that in real world usage, when using the Godox V1, it tended to misfire quite often due to an overheat protection type issue. So despite it quoting at full output the 1.5 second recycle time, we're finding that sometimes it's closer to 3 seconds due to this issue. So the main reason for this overheat protection would most likely be due to the form factor of the flash itself. The Godox AD100 Pro is more of a monoblock style light, so that means the cooling system inside is more suited for use at full output, so when shooting 1/1. Whereas compared to a Speedlight type flash with the Godox V1, when shooting 1/1, it's perhaps producing a lot more heat inside the flash itself, leading to these issues. So that's where the Godox AD100 Pro really shines. In this next example, we're using the exact same setup, so with the stand, S2 bracket, and the parabolic umbrella softbox, but we've taken it outdoors. So the same thing goes here. It's really hard to distinguish between the Godox V1 and the Godox AD100 Pro. What we wanted to show here is that we're shooting in overcast conditions, shooting wide open at f2.8, and you can see there's a dramatic light drop off. So the lights are really good for fill. So if you're just wanting to inject a bit of light, you can use your ambient lighting to your advantage also, depending on the weather conditions, and then using the lights themselves off camera and using them to fill in some shadows where you want the light to hit your subject. So my final thoughts on the Godox AD100 Pro versus the Godox V1, firstly, you have to look at your price. So if it's within your budget, the Godox AD100 Pro sits at approximately 450 Australian dollars, whereas the Godox V1 sits at about 390 Australian dollars. So there's about a $60 price difference there. We'll throw the pricing and conversions up on screen. So determining your budget and seeing if that fits within your budget. They all include everything you need to get going. So obviously the battery charger, the battery, and a little case for the AD100 Pro as well as the V1. Now, the second would be the way that you shoot. So depending on the type of subjects you shoot or the events that you shoot, what flash is going to be working for you. If you're going to be shooting events, you'd probably need something that's a run and gun setup, something that would be able to go onto a camera hot shoe. So the Godox V1 may be a little bit better suited for that because you'll be able to hot shoe mount that. You won't have to worry about triggers and it'll be a lot more convenient. The size factor isn't as important because both of these are really compact flashes. However, the Godox V1 is probably better suited for those run and gun type event situations. Lastly, would be just the reliability factor and the versatility. The Godox V1 is able to be camera mounted and you can off-camera flash it. However, it's not as reliable as the Godox AD100 Pro. The AD100 Pro has all of the things that we've expected from a width-stow range flash. We haven't had it misfire, there hasn't been any issues when we were field testing this flash here. However, the Godox V1 did tend to misfire at times, as mentioned before. And also, you want to make sure you want to look professional in front of your client. If you're always having to fiddle around with settings, finding out why it's misfiring, that does cause time delays in shoots. And the AD100 Pro is a lot more reliable with this regard. So that was just our quick comparison of the Godox AD100 Pro versus the Godox V1. For more videos just like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, leave a like on the video if it's helped you. Feel free to leave down in the comments section below your thoughts, or if you have any questions about these two flashes. Follow us on social media at Hypop and visit our website, hypop.com.au. Thanks for watching.